Good evening, everyone. Today is Wednesday, March 26, 2025, and this is the regular council meeting. I'd like to begin by acknowledging we're meeting on the traditional lands of Wausoba First Nation, part of Mi'kma'ki, the ancestral territory of the Mi'kmaq people. Could we all rise for the singing of O Canada?
O Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love, in all our sons command. With glowing hearts we see thee rise, the true north, strong and free. From far and wide, O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God keep our land glorious and free. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
Thank you very much, everyone. Item number 4, approval on the agenda. Is there any additions or deletions to the agenda as circulated? If not, I'd entertain a motion to approve the agenda as circulated. Moved by Councillor Daniel Muse. Do I have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Lauren Cushion to approve the agenda as circulated. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary? Motion carried unanimously. Item number 5, declarations of conflict of interest. If there's any declarations of conflict of interest during any agenda item, please notify me and I'll make sure you're recorded in the meeting minutes, and please step away from the table. Item number 6, approval of the minutes, February 24th and March 5th. Is there any errors or omissions in the agenda minutes as circulated? Seeing none, I declare that the meeting minutes are adopted. Item number 7, old business. Item number 7, old business, 7.1, council appointments and to boards and committees. You have that in your package. As we all know, we have a new councillor with us. Once again, for District 7, Councillor Trevor Perry, taken over from former councillor Nick Hilton, who is now the MLA. We had circulated this amongst council members about the appointments of boards and committees. What we need here is an approval of the document that's circulated. Councillor Councillor Phil Mooney, you have the floor.
I'll make a motion that we adopt the committee and board members as circulated. And I think the changes, do we have to do them one at one, or can we just do it as a whole package? Okay, I'll move that the package with the addition of new Councillor Trevor Perry be adopted.
Okay, a motion on the floor. Do I have a seconder?
Second.
Seconded by Councillor Jim Baxter. Any discussion on that? Hearing none. All those in favor? Oh. Nope. Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Item number 8, new business, 8.1, recommendations from Committee of the Whole. 8.1.1, draft 2024-2029 strategic plan. One thing before we get onto that subject, I forgot to mention, Deputy Warden Trevor Cunningham is going to be showing up late due to traveling. I forgot to mention that at the start of the minutes, or start of the meeting. So please notify that. He should be here if he's speeding, any time. Guaranteed he is. 8.1.1, draft 2024-2029 strategic plan. You all have that in your package. Counselor Phil Mooney.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll move that we accept the 2025-2029 strategic plan.
Okay, a motion on the floor to accept the strategic plan for 2025-2029. Do I have a seconder? Seconded by Counselor Daniel Muse. Discussion on that
It's,
strategic plan.
That'll be on our Facebook site. The members of the community can get that
For
online?
sure, website, Facebook site, and there'll be a press release by the end of the week.
Okay, thank you.
I'd like to make one comment on this. I'd like to thank council for taking the time. Councilor Trevor Perry, you were not there during that strategic plan, but this is a guiding document that I follow for our plan for 2025-2029. You're going to hear me all throughout this term referencing this plan, and I suggest that each and every one of you, provided the motion passes, that you always use this as your reference for our mission, our vision, our values, and our pillars. It's a very important plan. It's something that I hold very near and dear to my heart, and people ask, well, why are we moving in this direction? I can easily point out to a section in this and say, look, this is the reason why we're moving here. Like, I'll give one thing: governance. Advocacy for a proactive and broad-based agenda requesting governance, or respecting governance. That's one thing in there, and then there's priorities and actions in there. Actions for year 1, year 2, year 3, and year 4. So this is a very important document. It's our guiding Bible, so to speak. So I'm very glad that everyone had their input on this, and I'm excited to use this plan as a way to move our municipality forward. Any more discussion on the motion on the floor? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Thank you, council. Item 8.1.2, the draft 2025-2028 accessibility plan. Councilor Jim Baxter, you have the floor.
I'd like to make a motion to accept the accessibility plan 2025-2028 as drafted.
Okay, a motion on the floor. Do I have a seconder? Second by Councilor Daniel Muse. Any discussion on that? Seeing none? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Item 8.1.3, the draft 2025 Equity and Anti-Racism Plan. You all have this in your package, and my apologies. Sometimes my reading is faster than what your computers will load up. Madam CEO?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So the draft Equity and Anti-Racism Plan was drafted prior to the adoption of the strategic plan that you just adopted. So there is a page in that plan that sets out the mission, vision, values, and pillars of the strategic plan. So there'll have to be an update to those pieces to reflect what was just adopted in the strategic plan. There's just some language changes in the mission. So barring that, that's the only thing I wanted to raise, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you very much. Councilor Jim Baxter.
I'd like to make a motion to adopt the equity and anti-racism plan with the updates to the strategic plan as was written.
Okay, a motion on the floor. Do I have a seconder? Seconded by Councilor Phil Mooney. Any discussion? Seeing none? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Item 8.1.4, the draft 2025-2026 capital investment plan. Councilor Daniel Muse.
I'd like to make a motion that the municipality of District of Yarmouth adopt the 2025-2030 capital investment plan as presented.
Okay, a motion on the floor. Do I have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Phil Mooney. Discussion on that plan.
I think this is,
Councillor Phil Mooney, you have the
I
floor.
think this might be another opportunity, Mr. Chair, for you to tell our residents to have a look at that plan, because it goes hand in hand with the strategic plan that is just a couple items before. They go hand in hand, and it's a very proactive document that anything from the business park to maintenance and upkeep of some of our municipally owned roads to IT infrastructure here for the municipality for us to keep up with the times, anything, and the Mariners expansion, I think it touches, every part of this capital project plan touches everybody in the municipality.
Absolutely does. Some of the things that you had mentioned is the Nova West Business Park project, the Cape for Shoe Master Plan, which has been ongoing for years and years, is just one more piece of that puzzle. The administration building accessibility, as we all seen when we walked in here, we see some renovations going on here. Also, Hebron Rotary, accessibility, when they complete that renovation over there, they're going to be starting to working on the council chambers to make it more accessible, more seating, as people had mentioned. There was concerns about the seating and the way that they access the seat. The stadium style seating is going to be going away. But we have to wait for the Hebron Rotary building accessibility to be done, because that's where we're going to be holding meetings here in another month or two, I'm sure. So that is almost completed. I do believe that they have some groundwork left to finish, and once the weather broke, which it already has, that they're going to be working on that. Stewardship, infrastructure repairs, Hebron Dayton Sewer Project, Port Maitland Sewage Treatment Plant, vehicle replacements and upgrades, backup generators, Rotary Center parking lot, maintenance and upkeep of Modi-owned roads. Also, as Councillor Phil Mooney had said, IT equipment and furniture fixtures for council chambers to be included in the accessibility renovations above. So there's a lot in that capital investment plan. I do see on here, people, if they go online, when it's posted, if it's not already, there's a $15 million total value. That's not all from the Municipality District of Yarmouth. Those are through grants and stuff that the staff has gone through and found through provincial and federal government grants. So there's a lot of stuff in here, and looking forward to seeing it move forward. So is there any more discussion or comments on the motion on the floor? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Thank you very much, Council. And something that I haven't been doing, you might see my fingers raised. I got to try to make a mental note to make sure that my voice is heard, because I do have an equal voice to council in all voting. I don't have a tie-breaking vote. I vote with council. So I'll try to improve that. Item 8.1.5, draft access to information policy A-033-21. Councillor Phil Mooney, you have the floor.
I'll make a motion, Mr. Chair, that the amendments to the access information policy A033-21 be approved as presented.
Okay, a motion on the floor. Do I have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Jim Baxter. Discussion on that. Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion on the floor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Item 8.1.6, a draft audit committee policy A-0210-18. Councillor Jim Baxter.
I'd like to make a motion to adopt the changes to the Audit Committee Policy A-0210-18 as written.
Okay, a motion on the floor. Do I have a seconder? seconded by Counselor Lauren Cushing. Discussion on that motion. Seeing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Item 8.1.7, repeal of tax sale policy T-052-01. Counselor Phil Mooney.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll make a motion that we accept the repeal of the tax sale policy T-082-21 as presented.
You said, I know I heard you say 082. Do you mean
08,
052?
it says 82 in mine, but
Is there a typo in the thing? I want to make sure that it's the proper motion's on the floor. Just hold on, counsel. I have it in my written notes that it's policy 0 T-052 is what I have written here.
Yeah.
So, okay, so that's a typo on my thing. So, Counselor Phil Mooney, could you repeat the motion, please?
I'll make a motion that we accept the repeal of tax sale policy T-082-21.
That's right, okay. Motion on the floor, do I have a seconder? Seconded by Counselor Jim Baxter. Discussion on that. For people who are wondering, council is working on online agendas, and I have a printed agenda, so the proper tax sale policy was presented in the motion on the floor. Any discussion on that? Hearing none, seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Item 8.1.8, request for decision, Barb's Bench. Counselor Daniel Muse, you have the floor.
I'd like to make a motion that the municipality of the District of Yarmouth procure and install 2 Barb's benches, total cost of $4,000 plus non-refundable HST. One at the Cape for Shoe in a highly visible area not vulnerable to sea level rise and storm surge, and one in a high visible location near the administration building. That the project be categorized as a marquee council project in the placemaking grants program per section 5.7 of the grants policy G-068-09 in the 2025-26 fiscal year, and also fund the event taking place on June 4th in the amount of $750.
Okay, a motion on the floor. Do I have a seconder? Second by Counselor Phil Mooney. Discussion? Counselor Muse, you still have your floor. In part of that motion, it was stated, I guess this question is to Counselor Muse, I guess it would be to staff, the $750, that's for an event to signify the ceremonies?
That's right, yep.
Okay, just being clear on that. Any more discussion on the motion on the floor? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Thank you, council. Moving on, item 8.2, recommendations from the PAC, Planning Advisory Committee. 8.2.1, RV site plan approval, land use bylaw amendment. 8.2.1.1, report to the Planning Committee Advisory Committee.
Mr. Chair, Caroline is here if you want to invite her to come down.
All right, Caroline, if you'd like to come down, if there's any questions at council, or if there's anything you'd like to add, what I'll do is I'll turn on your microphone. Just hit the red button there.
Would you
There you
like
go.
me to present the amendment or just answer questions?
It's up to council. Councilor Phil Mooney.
Yeah, maybe, Mr. Chair, for Caroline, maybe just to go over a couple of highlights, each one of the pages that we have, maybe just to do a couple highlights and what it means to property owners and to the public in general.
Okay.
some latitude.
Mr.
Yeah,
Chair, I'm good?
you have the floor, thank
Okay.
you.
So the first report that you have in front of you is an amendment to the land use bylaw, and it's to put in site plan criteria for recreational vehicle parks. This was part of the original municipal planning strategy amendment review process that we went through. Council decided that they would like recreational vehicle parks to go through site plan criteria because they can be they can have some impacts on the environment around them and occasionally be a nuisance to adjacent property owners. So the statement in our municipal planning strategy is that recreational vehicle parks would go through site plan approval. However, there is no site plan approval criteria within the land use bylaw for the development officer to follow at this point in time. So that was an oversight. So the document that you see in front of you is a draft basically of recreation, of site plan criteria for a recreational vehicle park that the development officer could use to approve a vehicle park. Just like a little bit of background on why council chose to do this is that at the time there was a lot of concern from the public because there were people who were living in recreational vehicles and they didn't want to enforce that as being an RV park. They wanted to allow people to be able to continue to live in a recreational vehicle if that was their only option. So our land use bylaw allows up to 2 recreational vehicle parks in a residential area to be habitable. And then after that, if it's more than 2, then it becomes a recreational vehicle park. And as part of creating these site plan criteria, what we did was we did look at the existing recreational vehicle parks within the community that have already been issued for, and we tried to write based on complaints that council has received in the past and based on how those parks are laid out. So we were trying to keep things consistent, not create anything non-conforming. I think the biggest thing to note is that we didn't put in a minimum lot size area, and that's because a recreational vehicle park could potentially be 5 vehicles or it could be 100 recreational vehicles. So it was more about making sure that the impact on the natural environment was limited and the impact on the neighbors were limited when we were writing it, rather than looking at overall lot size. So that's the highlight of the report, and I'll open it up if council has any questions.
So is there any questions? If not, I'd entertain a motion in that regards to the recommendation from the Planning Advisory Committee in your package. What is council's pleasure? Councillor, yeah, this is, Councillor Lauren Cushing.
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion that we accept the site plan for approval for the RV parks as presented by our planner.
This is for first reading, so you're making that a motion to approve first reading of,
Yes.
okay. Motion on the floor, do I have a seconder? Second by Councillor Phil Mooney. This is in regards to process, and this is a question of the CEO. This is for first reading, so what happens after the first reading? Is this declared to the public? Is there a public hearing in regards to this?
Yep, so in the planner's report, in the very beginning, there's a great summary of the process that has to follow. So tonight is first reading, then there'll be a public hearing which has notice requirements, and then second reading following the public hearing if council chooses to move forward on second reading.
Thank you very much, Madam CEO. Any more discussion on the motion on the floor? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried unanimously, so first reading is passed. Madam CEO, I guess another question of clarification. Typically, when would the public hearing happen after it's advertised? Would that typically happen during,
We generally try to do public hearings on a day that council's coming together. Now, there are advertising requirements under the Municipal Government Act in the planning section, so it's not necessarily going to be at your April meeting. We have to make sure we provide the proper notice.
yeah. Thank you, Madam CEO. Okay, moving on to item 8.2.2, the Wyman Road rezoning. You have in your package the report to the Planning Advisory Committee. Councilor Daniel Muse, you have the floor.
I guess, Mr. Chair, I just maybe ask the same thing that you just did the last time from Caroline, if she doesn't mind, some highlights for the councilors that are not on the PAC. Thank you.
So what is council's pleasure in regards to the Wyman Road rezoning?
They'd ask Caroline to provide some.
I didn't hear that. Apparently I need to clean something out of my ears and it isn't dirt. Caroline, you have the floor.
All right, council. So this one is an odd one to explain. So we have an applicant who owns the property at 177 Wyman Road. And what they're looking to do is they currently have a construction equipment company that is permitted as a home occupation because they live on the property that's operating out of an outbuilding. It's been there for a long time. Now, what they're looking to do, this is rural development, and council allows quite a wide variety of home occupations to happen within the rural development zone. So what they're looking to do is, probably the easiest thing is to get you to flip to the maps on page 4 and page 5. They're looking to consolidate and then re-subdivide the property so that the home is separate from the outbuilding where the construction equipment storage is happening. And the reason that they're doing that is that a family member would like to purchase the property and continue to do the exact same business out of the building, and they want to keep their home on a separate property. So they're at the same time with this amendment requesting a rezoning, they're also consolidating and subdividing, so the lot lines are changing quite a bit. And the intention is to create, once that outbuilding is removed from the home, then it's no longer a home occupation. And so what they are creating now is what would fall under the definition of an equipment storage building, which is permitted within the general industrial zoning. So they're requesting that we rezone just the portion that will have the new building, that will have the existing building, but the new lot, that we rezone that to general industrial. And the intent behind that is so that they can continue to operate exactly as they have. The benefit to the fact that it would become industrial is that it would falling under general industrial means that it would be required to meet the general industrial screening requirements for when it's adjacent to a residential property. There's also, if you look at the map, kind of further to the southwest, there's already a general industrial property within that area, and it's been operating for quite some time. As part of a rezoning, council, typically how we look at it is there's a list of criteria that the planner looks at to decide whether the use would be disruptive and if it would fit within the community. Based on the fact that it's been operating there and doing exactly what they plan to continue doing, my recommendation is that we do rezone and allow it to continue. So with that in mind, that's pretty much the background of it. If you have any questions, this is a land use bylaw amendment as well, so what we're looking for is for council to move it to first reading.
Councilor Jim Baxter, you have the floor.
I believe we discussed this already, but I'm going to ask the question again just to make sure that the neighbors to this property get an opportunity to have input into this process. And there will be a public hearing as well. Okay?
Yes, so under the MGA, individuals who are concerned with any kind of a planning procedure can present during a public hearing, can submit a written submission.
So when council does decide to move, if council decides to move forward with this, is to approve first reading, so that would trigger the public hearing and the advertisement and all that other stuff. Councillor Daniel Muse.
Yes, I'd like to make a motion that the property owners of 177 Wyman Road be allowed to rezoning for a portion of the property from the rural development to general industrial concurrent with the application for subdivisions on the separate and the existing storage building from the single-family dwelling on the same property be approved for first reading.
Okay, a motion on the floor. Do I have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Lauren Cushion, and I did hear you approve for first reading at the end. Any discussion on the motion on the floor? Seeing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Thank you, council. Moving on to item 8.2.3, coastal protection issue paper, reporting to Planning Advisory Committee, 8.2.3.1. You all have a recommendation from Committee of the Whole in your package. What is council's wishes? It wasn't here, Councilor Phil Mooney.
Maybe just follow the same process as the last two items, and let Caroline give us a little overview on what this means.
Okay, thank you very much, and this time I did hear you. I cleaned that stuff out of my ears. Caroline, you have the floor.
All right. So council, the Nova Scotia government has been working on a Coastal Protection Act for a very long time. I'm thinking I was in my second year of planning when I first went to engagement session on this, so that had to have been more than 10 years ago. But there was a motion on the floor that the Planning Advisory Committee look into having MODI staff engage with the Nova Scotia Federation of Municipalities, Coastal Land Use Coordinator, so that's Gordon Smith, and develop an issue report on the new coastal regulations. Because at the time, this was back in September, as you can see in the report, at the time, the province had the new Coastal Protections Act kind of out, and they were putting a lot of responsibility on municipalities. And there was some questions about what that would mean for the municipalities, and there was a question that staff look into it and see kind of what the outcomes would be and what the support would be from the province. And in working with Gordon, the Coastal Land Use Coordinator, my staff part of that request was to look at what MODI's already done and how MODI has worked on coastal protection in the past. So I've provided a pretty nice summary for you guys. First of the Coastal Protection Act and what was under consideration, which has now been thrown out. They're not using that after all. And then of what they're using now, which is the Future of Nova Scotia's Coastline Plan, the plan to protect people, homes, nature from climate change along our coast. And a lot of it is about providing data to municipalities in order for them to make decisions. And it's going to include coastal hazard mapping, Climatic, which will be a resource of climate services in Atlantic Canada, which will be like a toolkit that's going to be offered to communities. They're going to be working with property owners about how to protect their properties. They're going to have flood warning signage. They also are working on developing land use bylaw guidelines, which is kind of a key one for us right now, coming from the Planning Advisory Committee. So they do have a consultant who's working on writing template guidelines on how to plan for coastal protection. They're also putting in erosion risk assessments, and they've committed to doing flood risk mapping throughout the province, but that's quite an undertaking, and it just will take a little while, as well as a Sustainable Communities Challenge Fund. So they're hoping to offer, I guess, some grant opportunities as well. So that's the big update and the change on how the province is approaching it. We went through MODI's all of Modi's work that they've done, and between the Integrated Community Sustainability Plan, which discourages development in sensitive areas, looks at riparian buffers, created the Broadbrook Watershed Protection Zone, through the Municipal Climate Change Action Plan, which looked at using an elevation standard, a vertical setback, and did a whole bunch of data analysis, which is slightly dated now, but did look at how to protect Modi coastline and did a thorough analysis on coastal erosion assessments. And then we looked at the Modi Municipal Planning Strategy and Land Use Bylaw, which was just reviewed and passed. And within that, we have watercourse buffers, we have a sensitive environment zone, we have floodplain zones, dikeland zones. And so our recommendation to the Planning Advisory Committee and which they are recommending to council is that at this time, with all this information, this is really great information to keep council updated and keep the Planning Advisory Committee informed on what's going on with coastal planning and what's been done in Modi. But our recommendation is that it would be best to wait until we have access to that floodplain mapping and also those template land use regulations before we make any changes to your current planning documents. So that's the I guess it's not really a recommendation. I'm not sure how we worded it from the Planning Advisory Committee, but this report is for the information of council because the Planning Advisory Committee felt there was no need to take action at this time.
So Caroline, just maintain what we already have in place. So do we, Mr. Chair?
So what I'm looking for...
I'll make a motion that the municipality of District of Yarmouth, for first reading, retain the existing policies in the MPS and LUB regarding sensitive environments, floodplains, and watercourses while awaiting updated data from the province.
I don't believe it would require first reading, Counselor. It's only because it's no real change. It's just a recommendation that we retain our existing policies. Yeah, stay the course and wait for information from the province. So you're okay with that the first reading part is not in there, but the other is? Okay. So a motion on the floor. Do I have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Daniel Muse. Discussion on the motion on the floor. Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Thank you very much, Caroline. Thank you for coming in.
Good luck next week, Caroline.
Yes. May the force be with you.
Give us a report.
All I can think of is that movie, Richard Pryor moving there, all the trouble he had moving his family around. All right, item 8.3, grants policy, DG-068-09. Councillor Phil Mooney.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I just believe this comes from last week's Committee of the Whole, when we had a very, very good presentation by the people from the Backpack organization. I'd like to make a motion that section 5.97, we added criteria for aligning with the municipal strategic plan, and section 5.3 to qualify broad-based community initiatives.
Okay, a motion on the floor. Do I have a seconder? Second by Councillor Jim Baxter. Discussion on the motion on the floor. Yeah, we did talk a lot about this in the Committee of the Whole. I think we come up with a good plan, especially the broad-based thing, because it took out the ability for some organizations to make a grant to the municipality, and that just frees up different organizations that do a lot of good work to the municipality to be able to apply for grants. I'm not guaranteeing they get a grant, but...
That's right, and the other thing that aligns us, this is a living and breathing document, right? There's always going to be changes to it.
Yeah,
to-
absolutely.
To better update it, and to better serve the residents of the municipality. So it's just another opportunity for residents to make presentations and to access some grant funds if
Yeah, absolutely. Any more discussion on the motion on the floor? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Item 8.4, May 2025 meeting dates. Madam CEO?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So, Mr. Chair, for council's consideration tonight, I'm recommending that the regular council meeting in May be moved from May 28th to May 21st. So it's anticipated that that will be the day that council receives a recommendation on the operating budget and hopefully approves it and approves the rates. Following that meeting, staff has the work cut out ahead of them to prepare for the tax billing. And as council's aware, this will be our first season using a new software system to undertake that function. And so we're thinking that extra week might just help make sure that everything is in order so that we can get our tax bills out in early June, like we normally do. So I'm requesting and recommending that the date be changed from May 28th to May 21st.
You're talking about regular council meeting, correct?
Regular council, yes, sir.
Okay. Councillor Daniel Muse.
I think that's a great idea, considering that the FCM is the 29th, and we might not have had a quorum as well, because people are probably leaving on the 28th, so I think that's a great recommendation.
So I need that as a motion on the floor if someone's willing to make it.
I'm wi-
Councillor Daniel Muse.
I'll make a motion that our May 28th council meeting be moved to May 21st of 2025.
Okay, a motion on the floor. Do I have a seconder? Second. Seconded by Councillor Lauren Cushion. Discussion on that. Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Item 8.5, Emergency Preparedness Project. Madam CEO?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So this is a project that's actually been in the works for about a year, and the municipalities in Yarmouth County that are part of our Regional Emergency Management Organization have been given the opportunity to participate in a funded project through the Federation of Canadian Municipalities to do some work around risk mitigation, data collection, and some prioritization and decision-making tools to help improve our resilience and be more predictive for certain types of emergencies and more able to prepare response plans at a more granular level. So there's no financial commitment for the municipality of Yarmouth, but what the FCM program does require is that one of the councils involved be kind of the lead council and adopt the resolution approving participation in the program for it to move forward. So there's a 1.5-page project summary in your package that explains the fact that we're partnering with several other municipalities on this and how the data will be used. And then there's a sample resolution that sets out the whereases as well as the resolution for staff to apply for the funding from the FCM.
Councillor Jim Baxter.
I'd like to make a motion that staff apply for funding opportunity from the Federation of Canadian Municipalities Local Leadership for Climate Action and Adaptation Initiative for a climate risk assessment and prioritized adaptation plan for the municipality of Yarmouth.
Was that the resolution, Madam CEO?
That's the resolution. The whereases weren't read into the record.
Do you
but
want me
if
to
it-
read the whereases?
Yes, please.
Again,
Yes, please.
give me a minute, there's a few of them.
Since it's a resolution, I prefer to be.
Yep. Whereas the municipality of the District of Yarmouth has the following interests, as a member of Yarmouth County Regional Emergency Management Organization to improve emergency planning and preparedness, to create a world-class dynamic hazard risk and vulnerability assessment using cutting-edge technology, to create a prioritized, risk-based climate adaptation plan that reflects the unique characteristics of our municipality, and to ensure that the diversity of our people, our economy, our culture, and our environment are protected through risk-informed planning, operations, and emergency management. And whereas the municipality intends to complete the project without capital nor ongoing costs, and whereas the project shall be conducted in a manner that enables discretionary information and data sharing with other municipalities so as to explore common experiences and adaptation opportunities that build tomorrow's resilience today. Uh-oh. Hang on. And whereas the municipality seeks to undertake a climate risk assessment and prioritized adaptation plan for the municipality of the District of Yarmouth in coordination with 13 other municipalities across Nova Scotia and Newfoundland and Labrador, all of whom are partnering with McAllister and Craig Disaster Management for highly technical project elements and technical expertise. Therefore, be it resolved that the municipality directs staff, so I guess the motion to direct staff has already been made.
Okay, motion on the floor. Do I have a seconder? Second by Councillor Phil Mooney. Discussion on that? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Thank you, Council. Moving on, item number 9, correspondence for action. There's no correspondence for action. Item 9.2, correspondence for information. We have 9.2.1, the update on the municipal disaster financial assistance claims. Excuse me, item 9.2.2, letter to the mayors and wardens, re-code of conduct, and item 9.2.3, Yarmouth County Trail Development Association accountability report. You all have that in your package. If there's no questions or comments, I'd entertain a motion to
Accept and receive.
accept that they've been received and filed.
Forgot my microphone was on.
Moved by Councillor Phil Mooney, seconded by Councillor Lauren Cushion, that a motion that this correspondence for information has been accepted and filed. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. And anyone that's watching online may have noticed that this is really the first time that I've asked for a motion that that the information's been received and filed. That's for everyone to know that the information has been entered into the record and database of the municipality district of Yarmouth. So it isn't just something that's been sent here and floats off into space. So that's something that I'm going to try to remember to do in the future. Item number 10, reports. 10.1, CAO's report. You have that in your package. Comments, questions? Councillor Daniel Muse.
I'd like to make a motion that we accept the CEO's report as presented.
Okay, a motion on the floor. Do I have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Lauren Cushion. Discussion. Seeing none? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Item 10.2, Warden's report. There's nothing online and I have nothing written, so this is all going to be from the cuff. I'll make it short and sweet. Something that I attended over the past few days was We Care Radiothon project in regards to raising funds for hospital equipment, which focused on babies and the prenatal care of everyone born. I'm happy to report that the community at large supported this, the Yarmouth Hospital Foundation, by the tune of $150,000 once again. I'm very happy to see that. You may have heard that I was on air at 10:40 PM. Actually, it was recorded, but they recorded me 5 minutes before, so it wasn't technically live, but you know, I was there. Met all the great volunteers, and a special thanks to the Hospital Foundation and Y95 CGLS for putting on this event. I believe it's been going on roughly 10 years now, and I've had the opportunity to be online or live on air since its inception, whether I was warden or not. So I'm very happy to hear that, the community supporting our hospital. It also not only supports our residents, but it also supports the recruitment of doctors and healthcare professionals to our regional hospital. That's something that's very important. It's been, as I can say, very, very, very busy over this, so far at the start of this term. We not only have our regular meetings that we sit on as counselors, as you heard that we just appointed Councillor Trevor Perry to some of those committees, but I've also been attending committees that I'm not appointed to. One of them was the Mariner Center meeting yesterday while I was traveling from Halifax. I was in attendance, and I'm very glad to see them moving forward with the operations and different things that's going on with the Mariner Center. I also had opportunities set in the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion DEI Committee. That one's going to be a very busy committee, and I'm very glad to see that Wanda Doucette is now part of that committee. She's had a lot of input. She was only there, I believe she was appointed one day, and the next day is when they had a meeting, and she was there with all kinds of input. So that's very interesting. And also, as many of you know out there, we as council members not only serve you as the public, but we also serve on volunteer committees. One that I serve on is the Carleton Fire Department, and over the weekend I attended fire training put on by the Department of Natural Resources. So I'm happy to say that not only I attended this training through the Carleton Fire Department, but there was also 4 other fire departments from across the municipality. There were some from Pleasant Valley, there were some from Lake George, Lake Vaughan. That was very well attended. There was about 30 of us that attended that, and the Department of Natural Resources put this on, and it's in regards to brush and forest fires, grass fires. So with that said, I'd like to remind everybody to make sure that you watch online the Department of Natural Resources burn site and follow the burn restrictions, because even though we took the training, we don't want to ever have to use it. But unfortunately, year after year, it seems that some fires do get out of control. So I'm asking everybody, please make sure that you go online and make sure that there's no burning ban if you're going to decide you're going to burn anything on your property, brush or grass or anything like that. And also, please keep a lookout throughout the spring and summer on the dry conditions that we've had because of the climate change that's been going on. We all know what happened in Barrington with the forest fire down there. Hopefully we do not see another situation like that in the province ever again. That was once in a lifetime fire. It was a record-breaking fire. It was the largest fire that Nova Scotia ever had. So I just want to remind everyone, be careful and check before you burn. And you are responsible for fires that you do light. So that's my report. I could go on about different things, but I do know that council members have been extremely busy with different committees. And one more thing that I should mention, that I will be away. Typically, I announce that if I'm going to be not available, I will not be available starting this Friday, March 28th, until April the 13th. So if there's any questions or comments in regards to anything with the municipality, please reach out to any of the councillors sitting here around the table. We all act on behalf of all residents, not just necessarily our district. And any correspondence that you may be sending to me will be automatically have an auto reply. So I just wanted to make council and the residents aware that I will be away on those dates. And that's my report. All right, we'll move on to dangerous and unsightly report and FYI. Madam CEO?
So, Mr. Chair, that report is required by law to be filed publicly with council twice a year. So this is a level of information that's suitable for public disclosure on those dangerous and unsightly files. If there are specific questions about files, we'll need to talk about them in camera. So the recommended motion would be to receive the report.
Make a motion to receive the report.
Okay, a motion on the floor that we've received the report. Seconder? Seconded by Councillor Jim Baxter. Discussion on that? Seeing none? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Item 10.4, reports from legal entities. There's 9 legal entities there. There's some that are provided writing. Is there any verbal reports? Councillor Phil Mooney, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Western Counties Regional Library, just like to report, we had a meeting this past week, and as always, funding's one of the things that we're having some problem with. There was, last couple of years, there's some bridge funding that was passed on from the provincial government to the Western County Regional Libraries, or the libraries right across the province, and they stopped that bridge funding, but there was enough outcry that they put it back in place. But over the next year, there's no talk about increasing the funding to the libraries. So the LBANS, which is the Libraries Board Association of Nova Scotia, are in consultation with the province on increasing the funding, because this year we can keep all the programming in place. But next year, there could be an elimination of some programs that the Western County Regional Library and the library boards across Nova Scotia provide, but they're in consultation with the government right now. So if you see Nolan Young, Nick Hilton, Ryan Robichaud, Jill Botzler, any of those MLAs, we're going to be going to the Federation of Nova Scotia Municipalities in a couple of weeks, just kind of put a plug in their ear to look out for when funding opportunities come out to the Library Boards Association of Nova Scotia. Give us a little heads up. We could use it, and they're doing a fantastic job down there right now, keeping the doors open, books on the shelf, and they provide so many more programming through that library system right across southwestern Nova Scotia that I would be here all day, and I know Dan would like it that I'd be here all day, talking about the services that they provide. So just a heads up, when we go away in a couple of weeks, just kind of put a plug in for the Library Board Association of Nova Scotia. And Aaron Camo, our executive director here, will be coming in the next couple of months and making a presentation to us. So we'll give you a heads up.
Thank you very much. Councillor Daniel Muse.
I'm here to report on the Mariner Center Management Authority. And first of all, I'll start off with apologies to Mr. Warden and Madam CEO about last night's lack of owl and lack of technology. We'll get better. So I could be here probably for the next hour if I wanted to on this one, but we're just going to do a few key points. Last night was the Board of Directors meeting. I was appointed the chair of the committee, so it's a big learning curve there. So what's happened? The CEO of the Mariner Center gave his resignation about 2 months ago, and we've asked Dave Clayton to step up and manage the Mariner Center, which he's accepted. We've asked Doug Cook. Trevor, how are you? Good. We've asked Doug Cook to step up and be the general manager of the Mariners on Main. He's accepted, so that's great. We just actually had a meeting last night, like I said. We have 4 committees. The HR committee has met a couple of times, and they have decided to hire Peak Experiences, which is a recruiting firm to help recruit and get a job description out there for a new CEO, which actually he sent me an email just not a couple hours ago with a starting point, so that's great news. Our finance committee met Monday night, I think, Lauren, and the finance committee brought the budget to the board last night, and the budget was accepted by the board, which will be sent out to the three partners, maybe before I go on vacation on the 28th of March with you, Mr. Warden. Not with you, but same time. So that budget, that's the operation budget, that will come real soon, that'll flow through, it was accepted. Now, the capital budget, because we're just getting things back on track, the capital committee has not met yet, but I understand Councillor Cushing, they're going to meet Friday night, so they're going to get on that and hopefully have that accepted at our next meeting, which is, I'll have to look at my calendar, but it's in April. I forget. Do you remember? 14th. This guy's on top of things. I'm glad he's on my side. So that will come very quickly as well. And besides that, it's busy as usual. They were happy to see that we accepted in principle the ice surface plan that we're, so I think that's it. If anybody has any questions, feel free to ask, or Lauren. We're a wealth of information after about 10 meetings in these last 2.5 weeks. Thank you.
I will make one comment. I did mention in the warden's report that I attended the meeting, but it wasn't because of your technology that I got dropped from that meeting. It was because of the cellular technology that the province is promised to improve. And this happened actually just outside of Kentville, where I lost the cellular service that I was using to listen to the meeting as I was driving home. But unfortunately, when I tried to reconnect through Zoom, there wasn't enough data available to be able to reconnect. So it wasn't all the Mariner Center Technology's fault. I will say that. Councillor Phil.
And maybe just a chance for Councillor Muse to say a couple more words. When we get the opportunity every Monday to see the update on the new project, just give us a little update on the new project at the Mariner Center.
Well, I don't
Councillor
really.
Muse.
You got me on the spot there, but today I attended RCS training, so that there was about 15 of us. At 11 o'clock went. We had some training, so we are now, and we got a little badge, we are now allowed to walk down onto the site with an RCS representative. So we had that today. It's coming along really well. There's a big pour on Friday, so if you see a lot of trucks out there on Friday, you can see the back wall towards Stars Road is just about complete, and they're coming up the Haley Road side, I think, on Friday. So Friday is going to be a really big day with a lot of concrete poured there. So if you're bored and you want to look at concrete trucks, I'll be on my way, along with Mr. Ward, we'll be on our way. We won't see that. So if you want to stop in and see it, that'd be great. And besides that, I didn't really go over the report 100%, but that's what's happening there.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for putting me on the spot.
Thank you. At least he said thank you for putting him on the spot. I am going to put you on the spot again. RCS is the company, or is that an acronym for the company?
No, that's the name of the company that was awarded the project.
Okay.
And don't ask me what they stand for, but Madam CAO might know what they actually stand for. That's just the name?
Yeah, just, that's their name.
It's their actual name and not an
RCS.
acronym, because I'm getting real tired of acronyms, as we all know. MPSLUB.
Okay.
And all top of all the acronyms at work. It's just acronym world. I don't know
Yeah.
what's going on. So is there any more reports in the legal entities? We'll move on to item 10.5, advisory. Any verbal reports for advisory committees? Councillor Jim Baxter.
First, the Audit Committee. We met on the 19th of March, and Gloria Banks, who is a principal auditor, gave us a report. She works for Doane, Grant and Thornton. And the audit is the 2024, that they're auditing last year, and it substantially completed the audit of the consolidated financial statements of the municipality. There's no unadjusted differences, no issues identified, no fraud identified, high level of confidence, and zero findings from the jointly owned assets, so the audit is going very well so far. So that's the Audit Committee update. Accessibility Advisory Committee, we met on the 27th of February and reviewed the draft policy that was submitted to the council today. And there was also a fair bit of discussion around the citizen rep policy and a suggestion that maybe we should take a look at that specifically for the Accessibility Advisory Committee. The requirement of citizen reps living in the municipality kind of tightens things since most of the supports for that group are actually in the town. So, but it looks like we may have gotten a couple of applicants since then, so that may change anyway. So that's the Accessibility Advisory. And Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, Warden Cunningham already spoke to the meeting that we had on the 6th of March, where we reviewed and updated the plan that was put forward and submitted today, and also welcomed, as he mentioned, Wanda Dowsett as the new citizen rep. So that's my reports.
I'm glad you mentioned the date because I've been attending so many meetings lately, I've lost count of the days and times, so I don't dare to say date sometime because typically you'd be wrong. Councillor Daniel Muse.
Yes, police, the Joint Police Advisory Committee met on Monday night for a special meeting, and that was with regards to Staff Sergeant Mike Eady needing to get his approval, but just to let us know what he's been working on, what he's going to continue to work on, and he was getting some pressure from above, so he needed to go over that, and if we had any suggestions on how we could help out or what we wanted him to do. So we just kind of went over a really, not vague, but quite in-depth plan of what's going on and what they've been doing. So that's basically the report, I think. I don't think, Councillor Cushing, am I missing anything? I mean, okay, all right, good. Thank you.
If I could just add something.
Deputy Warden Trevor Cunningham, who must have flown from Truro.
I did indeed. So, in any event, I'd like to give a little update for PAC. We met last Tuesday evening, yeah, and we have a new. I'm chair of the committee again, and Mr. Cushing, Councillor Cushing, is the vice chair. Thank you for offering up. We did go through a number of items. They're coming forward to council for, so probably they've already been talked about, yeah. And RV site plan, Wyman Road rezoning, and the coastal protection issue. There's a paper, and really we're waiting for more information from the province before we move ahead on those pieces. So those are some of the pieces that we talked about. And Yarmouth Recreation met this month, and really what we focused on there mostly was revision of some of the policy, and we are doing that work together to make things better with Yarmouth Recreation moving forward. So those are some of the updates. Thank you, Council.
Thank you very much. Any other verbal reports? I will report on the MPLAC, municipal levy. What did I just say about acronyms? MPLAC, Municipal Levy, Levity and Promotions Advisory Committee. That's a committee that's comprised of hotel operators and myself, the mayor of the town of Yarmouth. We had 6 different requests come through for requests for funding. Some of these events are new. One of them that I'm going to mention is a music festival. It's proposed to be held in the area. Thunder on the Coast Motorcycle Rally is another new one. The UFO Expo 2025 was one. The Bay of Fundy Sea Kayak Symposium attracts paddlers from all across America. That's something that we funded this year. So there's a lot of new events, and we are quite subscribed for the money that the MPLAC collects. It's a room levy fee that they collect from each visitor that attends hotels in in the Yarmouth area. So I will say that there's lots of ongoing events and lots of new events that are happening across the municipality and also our region. And it's good to see that there's lots of things going on. So please be on the lookout. I'd like to thank Neil of YASTA, Yarmouth and Acadian Shores Tourism Association. Here I go again with acronyms. But he does a lot of great work in keeping that committee straight, and I'm glad to see that the staff there is working diligently on not only keeping events here, but attracting new ones. So that's my report on NPLAC. Is there any other advisory committee meeting reports verbally? Seeing none? Ad hoc? None? To staff, is there any public comments? No public comments. Next item is in camera, so I entertain a motion to take a 5 minutes recess before we go into camera. Moved by Councillor Phil Mooney, seconded by Deputy Warden Trevor Cunningham. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carried unanimously.